Welcome to the Awakening with Kelvin Phiri Podcast. As with every episode, we begin with a short disclaimer. The views shared in this episode are for informational and educational purposes only. They are based on publicly available sources and independent research. This episode does not represent the views of any government, institution, or company and should not be interpreted as legal or financial advice. How are countries like Zambia managing to finance major infrastructure projects at a time when national budgets are tight and debt must be carefully managed? The answer lies, at least in part, in a model known as public-private partnerships, often abbreviated as PPPs. In the United Kingdom, a similar model is referred to as the Private Finance Initiative, or PFI. These are not just financial tools, they are strategic partnerships that allow governments to work with private companies to build infrastructure, deliver public services, and share the costs and risks over a longer period. Under a typical PPP, the private sector finances, designs, and constructs a project. It may also be responsible for maintaining it. The government, instead of paying everything up front, agrees to pay the private partner over a set number of years, usually through performance-based payments or toll revenue. This model has been used worldwide to build roads, hospitals, schools, and even prisons. Let's start with the UK, where PFI became especially popular in the 1990s and 2000s. One of the most prominent examples was the M25 motorway, the large ring road that circles around Greater London. Under a 30-year contract signed in 2009, a company called Connect Plus was responsible for widening, operating and maintaining large parts of the M25. In exchange, the UK government pays them over time, depending on performance and availability. Another example is the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. This project was delivered under a PFI contract valued at over 540 million British pounds. Many schools, health centres, and even parts of the London Underground, including the Jubilee Line extension, also used PFI models. However, over time, some of these contracts became controversial. Audits found that some of the deals, especially those involving maintenance and finance charges, ended up costing 2 to 3 times more than originally estimated. As a result, in 2018, the UK government announced it would no longer sign new PFI contracts, although the ones already in place would continue to run for their full term. What can Zambia learn from this, and more importantly, how is Zambia using PPPs to solve its own infrastructure challenges? The reality is that Zambia faces massive infrastructure needs. Roads need upgrading, rural areas need connecting, and economic zones need access to trade routes. But there isn't enough money in the treasury to pay for it all at once. This is where PPPs come in, not as a magic fix, but as a tool to bridge the funding gap and get projects moving now. One of the most significant PPPs in Zambia today is the Lusaka Ndola Dual Carriageway. This is a road project that had previously stalled due to financing challenges. In 2023, the Zambian government restructured it under a new public-private partnership model valued at over 650 million United States dollars. The project is being delivered by the Macro Ocean Investment Consortium under a build-operate-transfer agreement that spans 22 years. What makes this project notable is not just its size, but the involvement of local institutions like the National Pension Scheme Authority, known as NAPSA, and the Workers' Compensation Fund Control Board. These are Zambian institutions investing pension funds into national infrastructure. In return, they will earn returns through toll revenue over the life of the project. After 22 years, the road will be handed back to the government in a maintained condition. The project also includes the M6 bypass from Masangano to Luansia, which will improve road access to the Copperbelt region and relieve traffic congestion. The Lusaka Ndola corridor is a major trade route, and this project is expected to create thousands of jobs and improve regional trade flows. Beyond this, other PPPs are underway in Zambia. In October 2023, the government signed a 76 million United States dollar agreement with Jaswin Ports Limited to rehabilitate and operate the Ndola Mufulira Road. This contract also runs for 22 years and includes toll operations and maintenance obligations. In the western part of Zambia, the government has partnered with Barotse Highway Limited to deliver the Mutanda Kasempa Kaoma Road. This is a 326 million United States dollar concession, expected to begin construction by the end of 2024. It will also operate under a 25-year build, operate, transfer model. Zambia's legal framework for these projects is the Public-Private Partnership Act No. 18 of 2023. This law replaced the older 2009 acts and brought Zambia in line with international best practices. The new law created a PPP office to review and guide proposals, established a ministerial PPP council, and introduced requirements for transparency, competitive procurement, and local participation. But PPPs are not without challenges. One major concern is cost. While the government avoids large upfront spending, it still has to repay the investment over time. If contracts are poorly structured, Zambia may end up paying more than it would have under direct public procurement. That's what happened with some PFIs in the UK, and it's a cautionary tale. Transparency is also vital. Citizens must know what's being agreed on their behalf. How much will the tolls be? Who will maintain the roads? What happens if the private partner underperforms? These are questions that must be answered through open governance, strong institutions, and regular public reporting. Another challenge is ensuring that Zambians benefit from these deals. Contracts should include local employment targets, the use of local materials, and provisions for skills transfer. The PPP Act now includes local content requirements, but implementation is key. There is also a common misunderstanding that some of Zambia's rural health posts and mini hospitals were built through PPPs. In fact, these were largely delivered through donor funding or concessional finance agreements with countries like India and China. They do not fall under the formal PPP framework as defined in Zambian law. Looking beyond Zambia, PPPs are a growing trend across Africa. In Kenya, the Nairobi Expressway was delivered under a PPP with Chinese financing and is now operational. In Nigeria, airport terminals in Lagos and Abuja were modernized through PPP arrangements. South Africa has used PPPs in road tolling and water treatment for over 2 decades. So, is PPP the best model for Zambia? It depends. Not every project is suitable for a public-private partnership. But for large-scale infrastructure that requires financing, technical expertise, and long-term maintenance, PPPs are a useful tool. They allow Zambia to build today while managing costs over time, as long as contracts are well-designed, transparently monitored, and serve the public interest. What matters most is capacity. Zambia must invest in skilled negotiators, legal experts, engineers, and contract managers who can structure strong deals and enforce them. Public institutions must be empowered to regulate fairly, ensure accountability, and protect the interests of citizens and future generations. This is the Awakening with Kelvin Phiri podcast. Thank you for listening. But before we close, here's a question for you. Do you believe PPPs are the right path for Zambia's development, or should we rely more on direct public investment? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Whether you're listening from Zambia, the diaspora, or elsewhere, share your views and experiences. What have you seen work in your country? What lessons can we apply here? Drop a comment, send in your feedback, or join the conversation in the comment section. Let's build understanding together, because progress starts with dialogue.